Actor Peter O'Toole has died at the age of 81. The Irish-born star achieved fame in David Lean's 1962 film Lawrence of Arabia. He was nominated for an Oscar for his work in that film and 7 others, but he never won. Film critic Norm Wilner now joins us from Toronto. He writes for Now magazine. Thanks very much for being with us on this program.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Where would you rank Peter O'Toole in the pantheon of great actors of his time?
Someone asked me if he was the last of his kind, and I think he was one of a kind. I don't think there was anyone else like him. You hear stories after the fact that Marlon Brando and Albert Finney were considered for the role in Lawrence of Arabia, and I simply can't conceive of that. I can't imagine anyone else playing that role. He's so incredibly inhabited that part and turned a gigantic epic into an intimate character study. And that was his ability. Anytime he stepped in front of a camera, he showed you himself as some part of what he was feeling, and it was always great. I mean, he would share his pleasure in a role in movies like The Stuntman or My Favorite Year, which sort of marked his comeback after the pancreatitis and his health scare. And then later, as he got older, he just sort of settled into this sort of purity of performance. There's a movie that almost no one has seen called Dean Spanley that was made in Australia, and O'Toole does very little more than sit and listen to people tell him stories, and it's just incredibly moving. He was able to do that. He was able to just give you something pure in the middle of cinema.
He was known as a versatile actor, and he was known for living large too. Can you see anyone follow in his footsteps?
Well, people try. They don't usually get very far. The English cinema actors of his era of the 50s and 60s, Oliver Reed and Richard Burton, those guys were inhuman in their ability to metabolize alcohol and turn it into performance. I think people who do it now, that sort of believe that you need to do that in order to be a great actor, it doesn't last very long, and their livers just fall out. I don't think you could be Peter O'Toole now.
He was nominated for 8 Oscars. Why do you think he didn't actually win any? He was just given one by his fellow actors.
I think it's just a matter of timing. The Academy has this really strange sort of sense that you never really win for the performance you should win for. Paul Newman didn't win for The Verdict, but then he won 4 years later for The Color of Money, which had the result of displacing a fantastic performance from James Woods in Salvador. So there's always the sense that they'll make it up to you. And then with O'Toole, they never did. It just didn't happen for him. And I don't think he particularly was bothered by it. I mean, he said he was honored to receive the honorary Oscar, but I think he really just enjoyed the work. I don't know that he really depended on the recognition of an industry award in the way some actors might.
All right, thank you so much. Good to speak to you, Norm Wilner from Now magazine.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.